Hi, my name is Steve Sellers, and this is the How to Find an Internship workshop. My hope for you is that after you watch this workshop, you'll have some really good ideas about how to get your internship search started. You know, when I think about internships, I think about a bridge. You know, internships can act as a bridge between school and the world of work. You don't have to have an internship in order to make the jump from school to the world of work, but I think it certainly helps. The quote on the screen shows that employers really value some type of experience, and internships are a really good way to get it. You wouldn't be watching this presentation if you didn't think internships were important. And on the screen are some reasons why, I hear that people, students think that internships are important. And I wanted to highlight just a couple of those that I think are really, stand out to me. One is career confirmation. Internships are a great way to try before you buy. I mean, if you're not 100% sure of what career you really want to jump into, what better way than just to try it? You know, in an internship, it's just a semester long, and it gives you an opportunity to jump in, get a feel. Do I like this? Could I see myself doing this, for the rest of my career or in a job similar to this? Do I like the people that I'm working with? All those types of things. So internships are a great way to, confirm that this is the career that I want to pursue. And having said that, I think there's value. Sometimes students, they'll jump into an internship and at the end of the semester, they'll think, man, I don't want to do this. This is not what I thought it was going to be like at all. And that's a positive outcome because at least at that point they know, okay, I need to shift my focus and work towards another career that might fit me better. Another one of these that I want to point out is the contacts one. You know this as well as I do, but people hire people that they know, that they've had some type of connection with. Internships are a great way for you to get those contacts. So there's other reasons, obviously experience that you can put on your resume and others, but those are the main ones that I think are really helpful when you have an internship. Before I show you the entire slide here, I want you to think about what are your internship goals? I mean, what are you doing the internship for? I mean, are there particular reasons why you're interning? And here's some of the common things that students tell me in terms of goals as to why they're, pursuing an internship. The more specific you can be about the type of internship that you want and what you want to get out of the experience, I think the easier it is to find something. I mean, if you know that there's a particular type of industry that you want to get experience in, if you know that there's a particular skill that you want to learn, if there's only a certain location, I can only intern in Amarillo or I can only intern in Dallas, the more that you can kind of think through that, it makes it a lot easier to find an internship. Sometimes students have so many career options that it's hard to make a decision. They need more career focus. This is especially true for students that are in majors that can apply to a lot of different industries. I was a marketing major that can apply in lots of different industries. I also think about maybe general business, mass communications, biology. Those types of majors can be applied in a lot of different settings. So if you really don't know what you want to do with your major, I would encourage you to take steps to clarify, what it is you want to get out of a career. You'll be amazed at how opportunities will jump out once you narrow down the focus. And you don't have to have everything figured out, but I think the more specific you can be in what you're looking for, I think the better the chance of finding an internship. And we have a resource on campus, Career Counseling, that those guys are awesome at helping students figure out what career best matches you in terms of personalities, skills, interest. I think most students need help in determining a career direction. So I would encourage you, if that's you, I would encourage you to make an appointment with Counseling Services for career counseling, and they're a great resource. And then once you think through all of your internship goals, what you can do is you can use these goals as filters to evaluate which internships might be the best match for you. So anyway, think about your internship goals. And I think the more specific you can be about what you're looking for, I think it's going to be easier to find. WT is a strengths campus. And we're interested in helping students understand their strengths. People are more successful when they work in their strengths. And there's a great quote about strengths that I love, and it says, "You can become mediocre when you focus on weakness, but focusing on strengths can take you to excellence." So that's what we try to do as students come into WT. They usually take the strengths assessment, figure out what their top strengths are. You may have done that. But how does strengths relate to internships? I think it helps in the sense that if you know your strengths, you can know better what internship opportunity might fit you best. If an internship plays to your strengths, it's likely that you're going to be better at that position and that you're going to enjoy it more. If one of your strengths is communication, and that's a big part of the internship that you're applying for, chances are you're going to be a good fit for that and you're going to enjoy that position. The other thing that strengths can do is they can help you interview better. Knowing your strengths, it helps you to be able to explain to an employer how you can bring value to that particular employer. Talking about your strengths and giving them specific examples in an interview helps the employer figure out how you might fit in their organization. So if you're interested in learning more about strengths, you can click on these links that are on the page here. And then also, if you didn't take the strengths assessment and you're interested in doing that, our office can give you an assessment code. You need a code in order to be able to take that, and we would be happy to get you one of those. Just contact me, and I can get you a code if you're interested in exploring that a little bit more. This slide is about why employers like internships. And I think it's helpful for you to kind of understand their perspective. Employers, just like you, want to try before you buy in terms of, what career you pursue. Employers want to try before they buy in terms of who they hire long-term into a full-time position. From an employer perspective, it really makes a lot of sense. What they can do is they can take a student, plug them into their organization, and then just watch and see how they fit. What's their work ethic like? How do they, fit in with the rest of the people, the rest of my team? Do they catch on to things quickly? Those types of things. And as an intern, they may not ask you those questions directly, but I can promise you that they're evaluating you on those questions, whether you feel like it or not. So the reason I think this is important for you to understand is if you're in an internship and you really like it, it's in your best interest to just wow them, to knock their socks off. And then a lot of times what employers will do, if they feel like the student is a good fit, then they'll ask that student when they get close to graduation, they'll ask them to come on board full time. And that's awesome when that happens for a student. So I think it's helpful for you just to understand the employer perspective. They're evaluating you whether you feel like it or not. When I think of internships, I think of two types of internships. And one type, you can see on the screen here, is our competitive type of internships. Competitive internships are with companies that are nationally known, companies like Microsoft, Google, Wall Street investment firms, things like that. These are great opportunities, and I encourage you, if you're interested in a competitive type of company, maybe like one of these that is listed on the screen, you should go for it. WT students actually have gotten internships with all of these places, so you guys can compete with anybody across the country in terms of competitive internships. Just some characteristics about competitive internships that you need to be aware of is, one, usually you can find lots of details about that internship online. If I were to look on the Google website, I can find their intern page and it lays out exactly what they're looking for, qualifications, how to apply, timeline, all of that kind of stuff. So competitive internships, you're going to be able to find them online. Also, with competitive internships, tons of people apply. If you think about Google, for example, how many people do you think apply to their internship every summer? It's got to be thousands of students. So it's highly competitive, but all of the information is going to be online. It's going to be very clear on how to apply for those positions. And if you're interested in one, certainly encourage you to go for it. The second type of internship, and you can see it on the screen here, is what I call the less competitive internships. These are internships that they're with companies that aren't nationally known. I mean, they're not known across the country. They're probably nonprofits or maybe local communities in your community that aren't going to be known across the nation. So many of these organizations, and some of these that I put up here on this slide, they're local. It's a Happy State Bank is a local bank in the Amarillo area. Sage Oilvac is a engineering firm that's local to the Amarillo area. Those are not going to be known nationally. But, some characteristics about these types of firms is they may have internship opportunities, but they may not be posted online. A lot of times these companies, they may just kind of handle filling internship positions just through relationships or people that they know and contact. They may not post it online. And if you think about it, I mean, they're not going to have thousands of people apply like a Google would, for example. So they may not need to build this huge web page that explains all about their internship program. And, they may not need that just because they may not have that many people applying every year. But just because I call these less competitive internships, that doesn't mean they're less good. I mean, I think you can get a great experience in a smaller organization, maybe a community organization, and your chances of landing a less competitive internship much greater. There's thousands that apply for Google, and there's going to be a handful that apply for some of these less competitive internships. Okay, a major point that I wanted to bring out is that many of these smaller companies, the less competitive ones, they don't have a formal internship program, but that doesn't mean they're not hiring interns. And I tell students all the time, just because you can't find it online doesn't mean it doesn't exist. If you find a company in your community and you're interested in it and you look online and there's nothing, I mean, you should still contact them and apply. And actually, you could reach out using what I call the call, write, call method. And you don't have to do it this way, but sometimes students are like, how do I even start approaching somebody if I don't find anything online? What I would do is I would find a contact, or I probably would just call them or maybe email them and just say, "Hi, my name's Steve Sellers. I'm a marketing student at WT. I've done some research on your company, and I'm very interested in what you're doing. I'm interested in getting some experience before I graduate, and your company seems like a great place to do that. Could I send you my cover letter and resume?" So that's the call part. The right part would be me actually sending my resume and cover letter. And then the second call, write, call, would be me in 4 or 5 days after I send them my stuff, calling them back and just saying, "Hey, this is Steve Sellers. I sent you my cover letter and resume a week ago. Just want to make sure you got it. Is there additional information you need? Is there anything else that I can provide?" I mean, you may be amazed at how well that process can work. If you'll just reach out to some of those employers, a lot of times that method works and it turns into an interview. Okay, let's look at how to apply. First of all, we talked about internship goals. So you want to think through your goals and try to find internship opportunities that are matching with what you want to get out of an internship. And then what I encourage students to do is develop a list of top employers. And these are just employers that you just think it would be cool to work with. When I was a student, I liked sports, and Nike was like my dream company. I just thought it would be so cool to intern with Nike. So if I were making my list of top employers, that would be one that I would put on there. So, I don't know what you're interested in, but I would just pick companies and organizations that you just think, man, it would be cool to intern with a company like this. So, and if you can't think of a lot of companies, we're going to talk about that here in just a few more minutes in the presentation. And then once you've developed a list of top companies, I would do some research on those companies. Learn as much as you can about them. Read on their website, obviously. Maybe you can find people that work there or who have worked there. I mean, learn as much as you possibly can about that company. And then the last step is, I know this sounds simple, but I would simply work your list. And we talked about the call, write, call method, and you can see it listed on this slide here. That's a great way just to work your list. Take number 1 on your list and, see, do they have a formal internship program? How do I apply? What's the timeline? If I can't find anything about them online and they don't have a formal program, who could I contact? Who could I do that right call method with? Maybe there's a faculty member that might have a connection there. So I would just start working your list. And as you work your list, I think a lot of times students say they're into the internship search, but if they're like I was when I was a student, I really wasn't doing a whole lot. I was kind of looking online, and if somebody mentioned, an internship opportunity, I would follow up on it. But, if you have a list and you're working your list, it motivates you to take steps which improve the chance of you getting an internship. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is develop a list and then work on your list, or work your list. The next slide talks about ideas to build your top employers list in case, like when I was a student, I could have come up with, I liked Nike, and so I probably liked Adidas, and I could maybe come up with 3 or 4 sports companies maybe that I was interested in. But beyond that, I would have trouble coming up with a big list of employers. So these are some ideas listed on the screen here just to build your top employers list. If you're not looking in Handshake, our database, I would encourage you to do that. You can scroll through the job postings there and see if anybody stands out to you. You can meet with our staff. We love to talk with students. You can set an appointment and come talk to us, and we'll brainstorm with you. We'll look through past career expo, registration list and companies that have come that we know of, and we'll help you as much as we can. You can build a list based on your interest and passions. If you like cars, you should probably look at car type of companies. If it's music, maybe music type of companies. Whatever your interest is, you have those interests for a reason. You were wired that way for a particular reason. And I think it's a good idea to follow up on that. If you like a certain type of company, go for that in terms of internships. Faculty is another way to build your list. And faculty, they're not going to do a job search for you. But what I would do is I would approach them during office hours, and I would just ask them, they're not going to do a job search for you, but I just might say, where have students that have gone through your program gotten jobs? And maybe they list some companies or organizations that you've never thought of. Or maybe you tell them, hey, I'm looking for a marketing internship in the sports area sometime this summer. Do you have any ideas, any thoughts of where, what might be a good place for me? And they may or may not have stuff that they can tell you, but they might, and they might not at that moment, but they might later on. So they're a great resource. And, I wouldn't pester them, but I would touch base with them a couple of times a semester and just let them know what you're trying to do and see if they have any ideas. The next one is Google Indeed. You can look online. You can type in Google internships in marketing or whatever it might be, and you're going to get more results than you know what to do with. But as you scan that list, there may be companies or organizations that come up that you've never considered. And so maybe you want to do a little research on those and see if you want to add them to your top employers list. Dream company competitors. For me, I liked Nike, so that means I would like Adidas, So if there's other companies that are, compete with your dream company, you probably would like an internship with them as well too. LinkedIn. If you don't already have a profile in LinkedIn, I would encourage you to develop one. But LinkedIn is a great tool that you can use to find WT alumni that are working in a particular city that you might be interested in. You can, look at, follow different companies. There's lots of things you can do in LinkedIn, and that might help you find top employers as well too. You can click on the LinkedIn icon here, and it'll take you to just best practices of what you can do as a college student to get the most out of LinkedIn. Okay, the next slide, and I'm going to put it all up here. This last summer, I read a book called 40 Days to the Work You Love by Dan Miller, and this was one of his ideas that came out of that book. And I'm not saying that you have to do your job search just exactly like this, but I wanted to show you what he calls his creative job search, just to make the point that there's other ways to do the search than just looking online. Sometimes I talk to students and their job search or their internship search, it's what it consists of is basically just looking on job boards. And and that's okay to do, but you certainly don't want that to be your entire job search. This creative job search, this is what Dan Miller recommends for a lot of his clients. And I just wanted to take you through this. And again, not that you would want to do this exactly how it is, but the point is, there's other things that you can do than just looking online. What he encourages the folks that he works with to do is he says identify 30 to 40 companies that you're interested in. I mean, a lot of companies. And, you want to work for a small employer, a large employer, manufacturing, or in sports like I was interested in, or, whatever it might be, come up with a list of employers. 30 to 40 is what he recommended. And then what he asked people to do was send an introduction letter. And you can click on this link under introduction letter here on the PowerPoint, and it'll give you some examples. It could be an email, it could be an old-fashioned paper letter, but you can just introduce yourself to this company that you're interested in this letter. And then a few days after that introduction letter, he encourages his clients to send the company a copy of their cover letter and resume. And they do that. And then the last step that he says is follow up with a phone call. After you've sent the cover letter and resume, give them a call and say, hey, I sent you my cover letter and resume. Just wanted to follow up. Is there anything else that I can provide? And it's interesting, if you look on the PowerPoint slide, he said that only about 1 to 2% of the people that he works with will do this last step of calling an employer. But he said if you do that, if you make it all the way through step number 3, sending a cover letter and resume, your chances of getting a job offer are 1 out of 254. But if you combine that with a phone call, the odds improve to 1 out of 15. So that phone call is really important. And I know it's hard to do, and you're calling a stranger and it's kind of a cold call, and that is tough to do. In our office, we would be happy to coach you and give you ideas on how to do that. But I would encourage you to power through, even if it's uncomfortable, and do that, because I think it's going to help you to increase the chances of you finding an internship or getting an offer. So anyway, that's the creative job search. The next slide talks about networking ideas, and networking is still the most effective job search method. And let's just talk about a couple of ideas that you could implement. One is over here on the right, informational interviewing. What informational interviewing is, it's reaching out to somebody that either works at a company that you're really interested in, or maybe their job role is you're really interested in what they're doing in their job. And informational interviews, instead of asking them to interview for a job, you just want to talk with them and get information. So it's a great way to get information on what the career's like. It's a great way to make a contact, and it's a great way to do job leads. If you found somebody in your field and called for an informational interview, it could look like, something like this. You find somebody, you identify, you call them and say, hey, my name is Steve Sellers. I'm doing some job research on what it's like to work at a college or a university. Could I come talk to you about what it is that you do? And I'll tell you, you have to tell them 2 really quick, important things to keep them from hanging up the phone on you. One is you need to say, I'm not applying for a job. I don't want to fill out an application. I don't want to turn in my resume. I simply want to visit with you about what it is that you do. I want to learn a little bit more about your job. And the second thing you need to tell them is, I know you're really busy, 15 minutes. That's all I need of your time. You could offer to buy them a cup of coffee, meet them at a Starbucks, something like that. So hopefully, and you may do this, and people, I bet, will be nice to you. You may not get a yes from everybody, but eventually I think you're probably going to find somebody that says, sure, come on, I'll talk to you. And when you go to that meeting, what I would do is I wouldn't wear my jeans and flip-flops like I go to class in, but I would dress, maybe not in a tie, but like a collared shirt, slacks, business casual maybe. I would dress and I would look my best, and I would go to that meeting, and I would have questions like, what do you like about your job? What do you not like about your job? How did you get interested in this type of work? Where did you go to school? And what you'll learn is that, and you know this already, but people love to talk about themselves. your 15 minutes is probably going to turn into 30 or 45 minutes because the person you're talking to, they're probably going to enjoy telling you their story when you ask them questions like that. And then at the end of your time together, what you could do is you could say, if you were me and you wanted to get a job at a college or university or wherever, if you wanted to get a job in this field, what would you do? And you may get great job leads from that person. They may say something like, well, you need to call so-and-so. She's got openings in her department and you might be a great fit there. Or they might tell you a professional association to join. I mean, you never know what kind of great information that you'll get if you just simply ask that question. And then also the neat thing about mock interviews is you make a contact. Let's say that you mock interview with somebody and then, 3 months later, you see an opening at that company, you apply for it. You could call your informational interview and say, hey, I just applied for this position. If you can put in a good word for me. And, all of a sudden you're not a stranger. There's a connection that company has with you. So informational interviews are a powerful thing, and I would encourage you to do as many of those as you can because I think it's a great way to improve the chances of finding an internship. If you click on the link here on the informational interview and click on that hyperlink, it'll take you to our website, and there's a lot of cool information about how to set that up. And if you want to talk with us about setting that up or getting ideas of people to call, we can help you with that as well too. So let's talk about a couple of other just networking ideas. And first of all, when you say networking, I mean, what is that really? I mean, and the way that I think about networking is I think it's really just informal conversations with people about jobs. And, networking, it's not really asking for a job outright, but it's just having a conversation about a job. And really, it doesn't have to be a long conversation. I mean, it could be 2 minutes with somebody. And here's just a couple of examples of what networking could look like. I mean, networking could be as simple as going to a professor's office, giving them your resume and telling them what you're looking for. Professor Johnson, I'm looking for a marketing internship this summer. Would love to do something with sports because I love athletics. I need to be in the Dallas area. That's where I'm from. Have you heard of anything? Do you have any ideas? And they may or may not have ideas for you, but again, they might. And you may be amazed at what you can uncover if you'll simply have that conversation. Another example of networking or what it could look like, maybe it's calling a family member and letting them know what you're trying to do. Maybe you call your Uncle Bob in Dallas and you might say, hi, Uncle Bob, I'm calling to let you know that I'm looking for a marketing internship this summer. I'd love to be in the Dallas area. I would love to do something with sports. Have you heard of anything? Do you have any ideas? I'll email you my resume, and if you think of anything, if you want to pass it on, that would be great. Again, short conversation, but that's what networking could look like. One other example that I'll give you is maybe it's 2 students visiting in class before a lecture starts. And student 1 says to student 2, I'm really looking for a marketing internship this summer. I'd love to do something in the sports area. I'm going to be in Dallas. Have you heard of anybody? Do you know of anybody that's done an internship similar to that? And again, you may be amazed at what you'll uncover if you simply have those conversations. So I would encourage you to have those kinds of networking conversations as much as you possibly can. And it's kind of like being a detective. You're trying to uncover leads and clues that might lead you to an internship. Other networking ideas, and we've kind of talked about some of these, talking with your friends, career expos. We do job fairs every long semester, fall and spring each year. You need to come to those. It's hard to beat face-to-face interaction with employers and just meeting them and learning what they've got to offer. Mock interviews is another thing that we offer in our office that's a great way to network. We have this program where students can come and they can practice interviewing with actual employers. One night a month, we have actual employers that come on campus and students sign up for mock or practice interviews. While the purpose of that event is to help with interviewing skills, what I see happen a lot with mock interviews is that I'll see a student, they'll mock interview with an employer, and then like the next semester, I'll notice that they have an internship or they got a full-time job with that employer. Well, what happened is they connected, and one thing led to another, and it turned into something more. So I would encourage you to mock interview at every opportunity that you can. These happen every month, and I think if a student was really smart about how they did that, they would mock interview every month. And you can do it obviously in person in our office, but if you're watching this and you're an online student, you can do these mock interviews over the phone. And that's a great way to learn and get better at phone interviews. Plus, you can make those contacts as well. So this guy over on the right, that's a faculty member, supposed to be a faculty member. The older gentleman in the bottom center, that's supposed to be an alumni. And I would encourage you, if you can find WT alumni, maybe through informational interviewing, maybe through LinkedIn. The great thing about alumni is you can reach out to them and network with them. And even though they're complete strangers to you, because of the shared connection, they're likely to be a lot warmer. As soon as you say, hey, I'm a WT student, they're likely to say, oh, yeah, I graduated from WT. Is Dr. So-and-so still there? That kind of thing. That shared connection just makes it a lot easier to approach them. I mean, they may not give you a job, but I think your chances of getting some good information and networking effectively are better with WT alumni if you can do that. So, okay. The next slide is just some tips on finding an internship, and I'm not going to go over all of these. The main one that I would point out is the networking one, and that's why I put it up there 3 times. Network, network, network. That's the most effective thing that you can do. But these other things, I think you need to be doing those as well too. And I think that can help you find an internship. Tips for success. Once you get an internship, what I hear from employers all the time, and we talk to employers virtually every day in our office, but they're dying for people that will take initiative, that are looking for things to do and just want to make the most of the experience. I would encourage you to be that type of person, and you'll be a successful intern if your employer sees enthusiasm and sees an eagerness and you wanting to learn more. And sometimes some of the best internship experiences I've heard about have been ones where students have even proposed a project in their internship. And I would say you want a project in your internship. Because you want something really substantial that you can put on your resume. But I heard this story about this girl that had this internship that I thought, kind of made this point really, really well. But there was this girl who got this internship, and it was just at a tourist type of store. It was at a beach, I think, and they just sold tourist types of things. And basically the internship was really she was just a clerk, and she was just checking people out at the cash register all day. And the manager was busy, and he didn't really have a whole lot of time to devote to her. And she was bored with this internship. So what she did, she was actually a fashion merchandiser at the school, major at the school that she attended. So what she did is she proposed a project. She did kind of a square foot analysis in terms of sales on the sales floor out of their store. She proposed that to her manager, and he was like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Go ahead. And what she did is she redesigned the floor layout. And she, had all of these ideas about moving the coolers to the back of the store because all the customers, bought drinks. She got rid of a shoe polish display that they never sold anything out of. And she had all of these suggestions, and she put them on paper and presented it as a proposal to him. And the manager was blown away. And they actually ended up making a lot of the recommendations that she put in her proposal. And the point of that story is, if you're in an internship and you're bored, look around, see what project you could jump in on, how you could help, how you could take initiative. That's the type of employee that employers tell us that they're dying for. So, okay, the next slide is just how to partner with our office. Partnering with our office, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get an internship, and you can see it here on the screen. But I think if you partner with us, I think you improve the chances dramatically. So here are the ways that you can partner with us. One is we can help you develop a strong resume. A quality resume is really the first step to finding an internship. It's worth it to spend some time to get your resume in really, really strong shape. We offer resume workshops. We have resume critiquing times. We have walk-in Wednesday where students can just bring their resume in our office and there's a staff member there to review it and critique it. If you're an online student, we can do that via email or over the phone. But I would encourage you to connect with us through a workshop and reviews to get your resume as strong as you possibly can. Because if your resume is weak, I mean, it's hard to get out of the starting blocks in terms of the internship search. The second way you can partner with us here on the screen is you can put that resume into Handshake. And Handshake is our database where students upload resumes, but also in this database, employers post jobs. So it's a great way, that's a great place to meet employers. Here's why you should put your resume into Handshake. Employers have access, just like students do. They can, if you make your resume public, they can search and they can find you in Handshake. And if you're looking for an internship, you want them to be able to find you. If your resume's in our database, you can sign up for on-campus interviews that you qualify for. So with a resume in there, that allows you to do that. So it can help you find a full-time position as you get closer to graduation. And the other thing about the Handshake database in your account there is that it stays active even after you graduate. I mean, as long as you need it in the job search, you can have an active Handshake account. The next way that you can partner with us, and I've already talked about this, but is with mock interviews. And we do have an online interviewing workshop, and it's where it says click here for the online interviewing workshop. You can do that, and that's a good workshop. But I would encourage you to do the mock interviews if at all possible, because that's going to be you're going to get the best interviewing help that way, plus you're going to make contacts with employers. So what if you find your internship on your own? I would encourage you, and a lot of students do that. They just find it on their own. Maybe they take some of these principles and network and they find it on their own. If you do that and you're interested in academic credit, I would contact us immediately. And we're not the ones that can approve you for academic credit. That all comes through your department. However, we can help you propose it. Help you know the right person to go talk to in your academic department. So we can help you with that, but you got to let us know immediately. If you've interned for a semester and then want to get credit for it, a lot of times faculty aren't real excited to grant credit if you've already been doing it for a semester or so. So if you're interested in credit, let us know early. Academic credit, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. But once you find your internship, you'll learn more you'll get more information on credit, and requirements vary from department to department. So it just kind of depends on where you're coming from academically as to what the requirements are for credit. But just for now, I think it's important to understand that internships, they typically count as elective credit on your degree plan. So you'll want to make sure that you have a space for that. You pay for the internship class, even though you don't meet as a class. When you're enrolled in an internship course, there's an academic piece, but there's not a class that meets on Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. But you still pay tuition for that class. And the last thing you need to know is there is an academic component. It's not just working in the internship. That's the main part of it. But there's going to be a paper. There's going to be discussion boards. There may be a presentation at the end of the semester. It all depends on your faculty person. But know that there is an academic component. And then just a note, if you're an international student, if you're on an F1 visa, you have to get academic credit in order to participate in an internship. Just some ethical considerations. We have high expectations for students in our program, and we want you to act in a professional manner when you're searching for an internship and when you're working in an internship. And 99% of the WT students, they're going to do that automatically. But, when you go through this workshop, on the page that this workshop, the link is for you to access the workshop. On that page, there's a statement of ethics form. And I want you to, if you haven't already, I want you to print that off, and then you can sign that and then send it to me. And then what I do is I just put it in your Handshake account. But the whole purpose of this is we want you to represent us well. And again, most WT students do that. But, we want the door, once a student has an internship with a certain employer, we want that door to stay open. We want the employer to want to hire additional WT students after that, after you've done your internship there. So So, doing a good job in the internship and being professional while you're working and searching for an internship, that represents us well, and we want you to do that. Just wrapping it up here, the top 3 bullets that you see here, that's how you can get involved in career services. And we've gone over those, but I would encourage you to do all of those. Resume workshop, put your resume in Handshake once you have it really, really strong. Polish your interviewing skills, participate in the mock interviews. And then these bottom 4, these are what I call proactive ideas. And I think you should do as many of these as you can. I mean, you may not be able to do or may not want to do all of these, but I think the more of these that you do, the greater the chance of you finding an internship. We talked a little bit about career counseling. If you don't really know what you want to do in terms of career, man, that's a great first step. We talked about developing a top list of developing a top employers list, and then working that list. I mean, maybe that's the strategy that you want to do. Maybe you've just been looking on job search websites, or maybe just waiting to hear things about internships. I would encourage you to develop a top employers list and take a more proactive stance in the internship search. Maybe some of the networking ideas sound good. I mean, maybe you want to go visit with some of your professors. Maybe there's a family member or a friend that you think might be helpful to you, and you can go and have a conversation with them about that. Maybe there's a WT alumni. Maybe you want to contact our office and try to find alumni that you can do informational interviews with. Anyway, I would encourage you to do as many of those bottom 4 as you can, because the more proactive you are in your search, the better your chance of finding an internship. Okay, the last slide just has all of our contact information. And reach out to me if you have any questions or if I can help you in any way. And also, I would love to, if you're in the local area, once you've watched this video, if you would send me an email and just say, hey, I watched the video, I'd like to meet with you. I would love to schedule a quick meeting so that I can learn a little bit more about what you're looking for, and maybe we can brainstorm on some job search internship search, activities that would be the best for you. If you're an online student and you're not in the local area, still email me. Let me know that you've watched this video, and then we can schedule a time to have a telephone conversation and just talk a little bit more about your internship goals and what strategies might work the best for you. So, all right. And there's some other resources if you want to check on some of those. But thank you for watching the video, and I hope it's been helpful, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks.